Just an impossibly bad stretch for the San Francisco Giants offense right now. Here is why, though, things could, keyword could, turn around in Arizona and Sacramento.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and RotoGraphs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015, hosting this show for over 6 years, and I'm a lifelong Giants fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, so check us out there if you have not already, and please just smash that subscribe button wherever it is that you're following the show. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And coming up on today's show, we are going to break down a couple, including one of the most unfathomably frustrating losses you could imagine, and just overall the stretch that the Giants offense is going through and how horrible it is to watch, how frustrating it is to watch. But we're also going to get into why things could turn around in Arizona and Sacramento, which is those are the next two stops on this road trip. And then also a minor league signing that could have significant implications in the immediate future. So getting to these games against the White Sox, owners of the second worst record in Major League Baseball, only ahead of the Colorado Rockies. Giants won the first game, didn't score much, 3-1, so it required a good pitching performance. But then the next two games, pull your hair out type of games. I mean, especially on Saturday, a 1-0 loss, the Giants' fourth 1-0 loss of the season. And it's just unreal when you get, I mean, if it happens like one or two times in a season, like whatever, but we're like halfway through and 4 times losing 1-0. And like I said the other day when we did our halfway review of the season, they're averaging like 4.25 runs a game or something, or they were at the time. And you know, I could look back and see how many times if they actually just scored their average, they would have won additional games. It feels like a lot. And so, you know, in these games, just simply scoring twice would have been enough, but they can't even, like, a run feels impossible right now. And, you know, you could even set yourself up like bases loaded, nobody out, and it still feels like a run is borderline impossible, or at least multiple runs borderline impossible. Like you're going to maybe get one out of that situation. And it's just team wide. It doesn't matter who's at the plate, even Rafi Devers, and he was the guy who was at the plate for the play that defined to me this entire series in Chicago, with runners on second and third, nobody out, with Devers at the plate against the Chicago White Sox. Down 1-0. No, it was 0-0 at the time. Second and third, nobody out. I don't have the inning written down, but 0-0 game, second and third, nobody out, Rafi Devers at the plate against a pitcher who has a strikeout rate on the season of like 16% or something like that. So it's not like you're facing a high strikeout guy. League average pitchers are like 22% strikeouts. So you're talking below average strikeout stuff, and a situation where you've got Devers at the plate. Like, you didn't just bring him here to hit a sac fly in this situation. You brought him in here to, do damage, homers, ball in the gap, but at the bare minimum to make contact against a non-strikeout pitcher. Now, I'm not trying to rag on the new guy. He started out, I'll keep saying this season 0 for 19 with 15 strikeouts. And then he was having just a monster year at the time of the trade over to the Giants. So guys go through rough patches, even the best hitters in baseball. And so I'm not trying to just beat up on Rafi Devers, but in that situation, it's just you can't strike out. And then what you also can't do is get picked off of third base. And that's exactly what happened. It's just not only are they not coming through, they're doing like the worst possible thing that you could possibly do in these situations. Like you don't want to strike out second and third, nobody out, but you get it. And then you also get picked off on the exact same play. So, geez, I mean, I wrote down it's just not big league. Like it's just not major league caliber. And specifically, I was referring to Brett Wisely getting picked off there from third base. It's just not big league. And he knows it. And yet it's just unacceptable. But he was trying to be aggressive. And I think that post-game quotes, Bob Melvin talking about how they're trying to be aggressive to score runs because of how much they're struggling. But I think you can be too aggressive if it's doing this to you, because having Elliot Ramos coming up next with runners on second and third, 1 out, even if Devers strikes out, you still feel pretty good about getting a run out of that. It's still not good enough to put yourself in a position where you feel like just one run is what you need to do. Like they've got to be consistently scoring 4 or 5 runs a game. And right now they're just, it's like I said, one run feels like almost impossible, let alone like 3 or let alone 6, it just feels impossible. And so I don't know, just getting picked off there is not acceptable. Striking out there is not acceptable. And the more stuff like that goes on, the harder they're trying, and the more, when you're pressing is what they say, it leads to just continued bad results typically, because nobody's loose and relaxed. Everybody's gripping it tight and trying to be a hero when that's just not how it's like a tale as old as time. It's just not how you succeed offensively. You want to be relaxed. You want to trust the guys behind you. It doesn't help that they're missing Matt Chapman, and then Casey Schmidt was doing well filling in for Chapman, and 2 days in a row he's been scratched from the lineup, but then scratched. So right now they're going with everyday Brett Wisely and Christian Koss. And to be fair, Koss has been one of the only hitters in the Giants lineup who's doing well. And he had 2 hits on Sunday, the only Giant with multiple hits, and he drew a walk. And the one time he made an out, he hit a rocket that for the second time in a handful of games, it would have been a difference-making hit if it had not been caught. And the first time was a bottom of the 9th situation where the Giants ran themselves out of the inning with an aggressive send by Matt Williams, sending Jung-Hoo Lee, who was thrown out by a mile. And then Koss hit a rocket that had, according to Baseball Savant, similar batted balls, meaning similar launch angle and exit velocity, are hits like over 70% of the time. And it was caught. It was right at the third baseman. And then in this game on Sunday, bases loaded, hits a rocket, and it was the same exact type of deal. It was probably hit very, very similarly when it comes to launch angle and exit velocity, but it was caught by the shortstop. It was right to the shortstop. And so both of those times, I mean, you're talking, those are hits more than 70% of the time when you hit a ball like that. And they've been outs both times, and they would have been, I mean, for sure it would have won the game against the Marlins. It was the 9th inning with the winning run on third, I believe. And in the finale, it was a bases loaded situation. It could have cleared the bases. It was headed towards the gap. So, Anyway, just crazy stuff right now, what we're witnessing, but it could all turn around. I'm going to explain why I think it could all change starting tonight. It's the beauty of baseball. We'll get into it in just a minute, and before we do, today's episode of Locked On Giants is brought to you in part by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, or golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet ride into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I am part of the action. New to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, here we go. We're going to turn to our eternal optimism and discuss why I believe the Giants could be poised to break out offensively coming up in their next 7 games. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow we'll be breaking down Game 1 in Arizona. It is like 113 degrees in Arizona. Thank goodness for the retractable roof they have there in Phoenix. And Logan Webb on the mound for the Giants. So this is an important game. Like, given what's going on right now with this team, and given that you're not hitting, and you've got Logan Webb going, and it's a 4-game series, and you would do really well to win 3 out of 4 or better, setting the tone and winning the first game would go a long way. So, yeah, we'll be breaking it down tomorrow, hopefully talking about some offense. And why do I have some optimism about offense? Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that they are playing in a ballpark that this season, unlike the one Rate Field, which is a stupid name, the one they just played at, which this year and even the last 3 years, I think, kind of plays neutral. Like, you think of Chicago with the White Sox at that ballpark as hitter friendly, but this year at least, Chase Field has been way more hitter friendly. So it had gone through a period where the humidor seemed to have a pretty significant effect, and it was not nearly as hitter friendly as it once was. But just looking at this year, it has a park factor of 106, with 100 being league average, and the Giants ballpark, by the way, at 98, which is close to neutral, which doesn't seem quite right. But if you switch it to night for the Giants, I'm pretty sure that's when, it becomes 94 at night for the Giants, and during the day, and that's this year, and during the day, the Giants park factor is actually 104. So it's played more hitter friendly than average if it's a day game. So anyway, Chase Field has the fifth highest park factor, and they look at how do hitters do there versus how do those same hitters do elsewhere, and that's how they calculate this. It's not just like how many runs are scored there, because that would be influenced too much by how good are the Diamondbacks and their opponents. So it's what do those players do there versus what do all those players do elsewhere, and comparing it all. So thank you, Baseball Savant, for doing this. And essentially, like, for runs, it's 12% above average this year. For on-base percentage, 6% above average. For singles, 3% below average. Doubles, 30% above average. Triples, 67% above average. Home runs, 4% below average. So that's interesting. It's not coming from homers. It's doubles and triples, really. And hits in general it's 4% better than average. Strikeouts, for some, probably the batter's eye. It's interesting that it has an 89 park factor for strikeouts, meaning 11% fewer strikeouts there than elsewhere. And we're talking about the same hitters like strike out 11% less often. That doesn't mean 11 percentage points for a hitter. Not if you have a 21% strikeout rate, that doesn't mean you're going to strike out 10% of the time at chase. It means, 10% of 21, which is like 2.1%, right? So anyway, that strikeout park factor is second lowest. So that's interesting to note. And for the Giants, that's a lot of times been their problem, is that they're striking out in situations where making contact, and like the Devers situation, that it's hard for me to understand. He's in a little bit of a funk with striking out. His strikeout rate with the Giants is over 30%. His strikeout rate the last several years has been more in the low 20s. So Devers is striking out more than we should expect moving forward. And just hopefully he gets comfortable and gets hot, and this would be a great time to do it. Giants will be going up against Ryan Nelson tonight, a right-handed pitcher. That's good. They've had so much trouble with lefties. I do want to reiterate that it seems to be something that they're not aware of on like the broadcasts, because they were talking about Giants' struggles against left-handed pitching, and they're like, it doesn't really make sense. And they mentioned guys like Elliot Ramos and Matt Chapman and Willy Adames. But Willy Adames, I'm going to keep saying this because not everyone listens every day. I would encourage you to check us out Monday through Friday, but not everyone listens every day, so maybe you've not heard me say this, but Willy Adames has true reverse platoon splits in his career. They're significant. He's, in his career, been 16% above league average when he's facing a righty. So league average offense, his has been 16% better than that when it's a righty on the mound. And when it's a lefty on the mound, exactly 16% below overall league average offense. So true reverse platoon splits. And so you often see opponents, I think the Giants lineups should treat him more like when they make their lineup, treat him more like a left-handed hitter, because they go like right, left. But he kind of is like a left-handed hitter when it comes to, and that's good. I mean, it's better to be good against righties because there's more of them. But also it makes you more vulnerable if he's hitting like right behind Rafael Devers, for example, or like between Devers and Jung Hoo Lee, because then it's kind of like having three lefties in a row based on just career track record. And Devers, he's still in his career produces like 11% above average offense when he's facing a lefty. But when he's facing a righty, it's like 40% above average. All the more reason that strikeout, which was against a righty, second and third, nobody out, 0-0 game against a guy who has a below average strikeout rate. Like, all the more reason it's just like it says if you're watching on YouTube with the first bullet point, unfathomably frustrating. So hopefully in a ballpark that is conducive to runs, that is not conducive to strikeouts, the Giants offense can get it going. Ryan Nelson is the fifth starter for the D-backs, but he's actually pitched better than most of their starters. So he's appeared in 17 games, and 7 of those games have been starts. I don't know exactly. I mean, he's probably moved into the rotation once they lost Corbin Burns. So his last 3 outings, wow. He started at Arizona or at Cincinnati and gave up 7 earned runs in 3 innings. But after that, he's made 3 consecutive starts, 15 2/3, allowed 3 runs, 1.15 ERA, but a 4.30 fielding independent pitching. So this guy is due for a little regression, and the Giants are definitely due for a little bit of offense. Now, when we look at the Diamondbacks, this is the second year in a row that this is happening, I think. I'd have to look back and double check, but they're they're scoring a lot, but they're allowing a lot of runs. Like they have had a big problem with run prevention the last few years. And this year, their ERA as a team is 4.78. Giants ERA as a team is 3.41. So we'll see if what happens when pitching that's been leaky, like Arizona's, meets offense that can't hit, like the Giants. They should be able to be better than this. Like, you've got one of the best hitters in the game in your lineup. You've got Elliot Ramos having a good year, another good year in your lineup. You've got guys who have just been in prolonged slumps but have shown better in their careers, or at times like Jung-Hoo Lee and Willie Adames in your lineup. And Christian Koss has been much better. Hopefully Casey Schmidt able to go. They really need Matt Chapman back is my feeling. But let's see. Just bullpen-wise, though, because you're going to see Ryan Nelson, but then you're going to see a bullpen. And Arizona's bullpen ranks 28th with a 5.31 ERA. Giants are still first at 2.91 despite having some difficulties lately. But a 5.31 ERA by the Arizona bullpen. Their walk rate is 11th highest. Their strikeout rate is, where is it? It's actually better than the Giants. It's perhaps the home runs allowed or batting average allowed. They allow a 259 batting average. Again, it's like if ever the two shall meet. Bad pitching versus an offense that's in a very bad way right now. Arizona bullpen allows 1.43 runners per walks plus hits per innings pitched, which is 26th in baseball. Giants rank second. So this is an opportunity in this 4-game series. And then you're going to face other guys like Zach Gallen, who's surprisingly having just a really tough year. And you've got to take advantage because the Giants have lost a lot of odds of making the playoffs from this rough stretch. And Arizona's starting rotation, by the way, ranks 24th with a 4.45 ERA. And that includes Corbin Burns, who has a 2.66, but is out for the year and much of next year as well, undergoing Tommy John. Zach Gallen has a 5.75 ERA, one of the highest in the league. This is a guy who's been very good in his career, allowing almost 2 home runs per 9 innings. But tonight it's Ryan Nelson. He has the best ERA of any active starter for the D-backs. So we'll see if the Giants can hit this guy a little bit. The park is conducive to it. Certain guys are just due, and you've got Logan Webb on the mound. So I feel better about that. Coming up in just a minute, we'll also discuss Sacramento and its park factors. I know we're not there yet, but just a preview of that. And a minor league signing that could have pretty major implications for the Giants. All of that in just a minute. And before we get into it, all right, here we go. We are going to get into the Sacramento park factors, which I tried to pull up the other day and couldn't find, but I figured out how to do it. And we'll also discuss a minor league signing that the Giants made of a player who has a lot of major league experience, and I think he could really help the Giants. The question is, how soon will he help the Giants? Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every dayers tomorrow, we'll be breaking this one down. We'll be praying to the baseball gods for some runs and for Logan Webb to be Logan Webb. Like, this offense is due. They are long overdue for just a good game or 2 or 10 offensively. Anyway, this has been some of the hardest baseball to watch, and it feels like the Giants go through this every year, and it just feels a little bit unfair as a fan to have to suffer like this. I don't know what it is, but when guys put on a Giants uniform, they go through stretches like this. It seems like every year. I don't know if it's Oracle Park. I don't know if it's I don't know what it is, but every year this happens, and it's an extended stretch like this where it's just like these guys have never swung a bat in their lives, is how it feels. They're all exceptionally talented. Baseball is extremely hard. It's worth reiterating that they all care very much, and that's one of the things, by the way, that Mike Yastrzemski said to the Chronicle, Shayna Rubin of the San Francisco Chronicle, and he was asked why he was confident the tides would shift, and he said, quote, "The care level, the fact that it is a little somber in here right now, and it should be. That goes to show that guys care. Guys aren't satisfied with where we're at. Where we want to go, everyone takes that seriously, and that's the only thing we can hang our hat on right now is that there is fight in this team, there is care, and I think we're going to find that here soon." And he also said, just trying to live on the fact that we get a chance tomorrow. Last two series haven't been good offensively for us. We're capable of a lot better than that. Sometimes you go through these and have to dig down deep and find what you really want to play for. I think for a lot of us, that's pride and winning and holding ourselves accountable to play better than we've been performing. I think we're wearing it pretty heavy right now. You can feel that in here. There isn't a single person in here that's satisfied with how we're playing. Hopefully, we take it to heart and come out with a chip on our shoulder tomorrow. So again, that's the beauty of baseball, is every day is in fact a new opportunity until you run out of time, but we've just crossed the halfway point. We've got all of July, all of August, all of September. So there's plenty of time, and certain guys you would just expect to play better, like Devers, Willie Adames. Going to get Matt Chapman back at some point. Christian Koss is doing a really nice job. Hopefully Casey Schmidt is healthy. By the way, Justin Verlander remains winless in his quest for 300 wins. Picked the wrong team to join, Justin. Maybe he wants to be traded, which would free up a spot in the rotation because he pitched well, but he's overall been one of the worst pitchers on the Giants in terms of the starting rotation. That's been pretty strong, and you've got some young talent down there in the minors. By the way, though, he came into the start with his teammates providing 24 runs of support over his first 12 starts, which is 2 per game, which is the second fewest to Colorado's Chase Dollander for any starter. And then he got 2 runs of support on Sunday. So he gets 2 runs a game, and they might as well just put it in the bank. Verlander on the mound, you're going to get 2. So you better allow 1 or fewer. And by the way, the bullpen imploded. I didn't like going to Eric Miller in the 7th. Eric Miller has walked as many guys as he struck out. At least he had coming into that outing. He didn't allow any walks in the outing, but I don't know. Where's Randy Rodriguez? Was he going to pitch the 8th? Because Tyler Rogers, I think, pitched back-to-back days. Maybe. But I don't know. It's hard to complain about the bullpen. It's really the offense's fault. But Ryan Walker gave it up. Anyway, just a rough series, and you have no choice but to turn the page. One of the things I said that's promising, hopefully, or at least provides an opportunity to be somewhat optimistic, is where they're going to play next and the fact that the Diamondbacks have struggled to pitch. But after that, they go to Sacramento, and we have the park factors. And guess what? Sacramento, second only to Coors Field, with a park factor of 112. So 12% above average offense, 25% more runs than average are scored at Sutter Health Park, the AAA home of the Giants. Home runs, 13% more than average are hit there, 10% more walks, 29% more doubles, 10% more hits, 11% higher on base percentage. It's just been a hitter's dream and a pitcher's nightmare, like Coors Field. And the Giants are going there after they play in Arizona. So hopefully they can get some offensive momentum going here in Arizona and then go into Sacramento to play the A's, where their own pitchers like Luis Severino has been very outspoken, calling it like pitching in spring training. And so the A's have done really poorly this year, and a lot of people feel like the ballpark is a big factor there. It's in their heads, certainly, in the opposite end of the spectrum from what I'm talking about with Oracle. It's not a major league facility. And the A's play there so much, I think it's in their heads. And Giants will go there and hopefully take advantage after this 4-game series in Arizona. But we wait on that. And for now, I do want to get into a minor league signing. The Giants signing longtime Dodger Austin Barnes to a minor league deal. Barnes is 35. He's in the third year of a 3-year, $10.5 million contract he signed with LA. So the Dodgers are paying his salary, and if the Giants assign him to the major league team, they just have to pay him a prorated portion of the major league minimum. So that's kind of an added bonus. You got the Dodgers on the Dodgers writing him checks, and if he makes it to the Giants major league team, Giants will be paying him pennies on the dollar, and the Dodgers will continue to pay him not a consequential amount. But the main point is Austin Barnes, in his career, he's hit lefties pretty decently, and I would feel much better about him being at the plate than any of the rest of these guys the Giants have been throwing out there besides Bailey. And for Bailey, it's just all defense. Lately, the bat has been better. He did win the game with a big hit in the 3-1 win on Friday against the White Sox. But Austin Barnes in his career has been solid. 329 career on base percentage against left-handed pitching. Not a lot of power, but a 329 on base against a lefty. You would take that from backup catcher, which has just definitely been a weak spot for the Giants this year. Barnes is not great at throwing runners out, but he is above average blocker, one of the best in the game. He has been, like I said, though, he's 35 years old, really doesn't chase at all. And he was assigned to the Giants rookie ball team in Arizona. And then on NBC Sports Bay Area, they write, which perhaps not so coincidentally is where San Francisco is set to begin a 4-game series against the Diamondbacks on Monday at Chase Field. So I would not be upset at all to see Austin Barnes added to the roster as soon as possible, because anytime it's not Bailey, who provides so much defensive value and has been better lately at the plate, I feel like you're an automatic out if you're not. Even Bailey's been an automatic out. So the catcher spot has just been an automatic out in a lineup that is struggling big time. So I like the move. I'd like to see him added, and let's go. Let's cash in those Dodgers paychecks, Austin Barnes, and hit for the Giants. So that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day, or today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, I'm Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much, so thank you in advance, and thank you to everyone who's done so already. I can't wait to be with you again tomorrow. Thanks again for listening today. You are now Locked On Giants.